So let me tell you why it's important to do follow up with your cases and things like that you file for expungement. I'm just leaving the Layton Criminal Courthouse in Chicago, 26 and Cal. So got an interesting case I was helping a person with getting an expungement. Now, this person's case was expunged maybe some 4 years ago, okay? And typically how the process goes is now when you file expungements and expungements are granted, you pay the extra fees for the clerks to send that paperwork to the state, both on the notice of motion when you're trying to file and if the order, if the motion, if the request for expungement is granted, then they will send that order to the police department to purge the records, the report, and then they'll also send the information to the state police, Illinois State Police, so they can purge it out of the system for the Illinois State Police Bureau of Identification in Joliet. So here's a interesting case where at the time that this case was filed, and I said 4 years ago, but it actually was longer than that. So at the time this case was filed, the defendants, according to the clerk's office, were responsible for sending the notice of motion to the state and, sending other documents to other people, the Illinois State Police Bureau of Identification. And so this expungement happened before there was duty for the clerks to actually notify. And I don't know if it's by policy or by statute, but whatever. So in this situation, what happened was her case didn't show up on the... Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just watching my surroundings. Her case didn't show up on the rap sheet, Illinois State Police Bureau of Identification rap sheet. It didn't show up there. But it did show up on the rap sheet from Chicago Police Department. Some people... and you're like, well, how is that possible? It is possible, right? Because if Chicago Police Department does not get the order that says that the records must be purged, right, then Illinois State Police Bureau of Identification can expunge it from their system, but Chicago still has it in clear, right? So this is why it's important that if you don't get your rap sheets after a certain period of time, if you understand the process, what happens is this. I'm going to take a pause for a minute to explain. So after the expungement notice of motion, you need 4 documents. Notice of motion, the request for expungement, the order granting expungement, the order denying expungement. And this is just in Circuit Court of Cook County. 60 days, right? Typically, the clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County will send out the information to the Illinois State Police, to the arresting agency, to the chief legal officer in that city, okay, and to the state's attorney, putting them on notice that you are seeking to have the record expunged and or sealed. They get an opportunity to respond. After they respond, then depending upon the calendar, the backup, whatever the case may be, the backlog, a hearing date is set. Now, no issues on your background. What happens is the court, the state doesn't object, the state's attorney doesn't object, police department doesn't object, smooth, clean expungement process. You meet the qualifications, case is expunged. You may not even have to go to court, right? But in the case where, okay, so that's the clean expungement process. Let's just say they do object, then you do have to come to court, or your attorney has to come to court, and both sides get to be heard on the matter, and then that's a whole nother conversation that we definitely should have. But they get to be heard on the matter, and then the judge decides whether they're going to grant the request for expungement or deny it, and a denial doesn't mean not ever. It just probably means in certain cases, not now. So don't not try. You see what I'm saying? But let's just say they grant it for the sake of argument. So after they grant it, what typically happens is just because you walk out with that expungement order that says it is expunged, it's not expunged yet, because the paperwork then has to go out to the not state's attorney, because it's already in the file. but it has to go out to the police department because they house records pursuant to, specific to that request, that case, right? The State Police Bureau of Identification. Notification has to go out to them and the corporate counsel of that city to let them know that the matter has been expunged and to comply with the order of the court, right? And so later, maybe about 60, 90 days, sometimes a little bit longer, okay, but look out in the mail or by way of email, you'll get the order from, or a letter, especially in Chicago, a letter from Chicago Police Department stating that, in addressing your name, that they have complied with the order, okay, and that your record with regard to the specific case that has been, granted, the expungement has been granted, that they have purged their records of the information in that above captioned case, right? And then the state police will send you a rap sheet stating that they have complied and showing you your rap sheet as it looks now that they have complied with the order. Rap is not a Afro-American or African-American or a black term. RAP is an acronym for Record of Arrest and Prosecution. Record of Arrest and Prosecution. That's what it is. So your rap sheet. So they will show how it looks after they have complied with the order. If you don't get that letter from the police department, if you don't get that rap sheet showing that they have complied and that it is either expunged or sealed, you need to do some follow-up. So in this case, yes, it does not appear on her rap sheet. I did another expungement for her before. It doesn't appear on the rap sheet, but I'm like, why doesn't it appear on there, but it appears on Chicago? That's because Chicago did not get the order. So now what she has to do is, I filed a motion on her behalf, and then now she has to go before the court by way of Zoom and then ask for a new expungement order because it's weird. It's really, really weird. Once we found that out, we had to file an order and she had to appear on her own behalf. I'm not a licensed attorney, but I know the process. So she had to appear on her behalf to have the expunged record and case. It was impounded, right? The records kind of never go away. They just get impounded. And it takes a court order to resurrect them. So she had to file a motion to resurrect that just to pull the order from the file, out of the file, to then send to the Chicago Police Department. So there was no order in the file, right? So now she has to motion back before the court, which has already been done. I just got through doing that for her, so that she can go on ahead and request a new expungement order. And that's going to be easy to grant because it's already been granted. It just doesn't appear in the file. And the purposes for granting this expungement or requesting this new expungement order is so, one, she can have it for her records, but two, primarily so that that record, that order can be sent to the Chicago Police Department so it can be purged from their records. And it's a reason that you do this, right? You don't want Chicago Police or any other agency pulling you over, running your CQH, CQR1 in the computers in the car. And they have the ability to be able to do that, even with leads less than full access. You don't want them to discover that you have this arrest, whatever it may be, okay? And then they use that as a charging decision. Or the Illinois State Police Bureau of Identification, when they pull your records from CPD, because you live in Chicago, when they pull your records, Chicago is objecting against the issuance of your concealed carry license for something that has been expunged at the state level, but Chicago doesn't know about it. You see what I'm saying? These law enforcement agencies don't often communicate between each other unless there's an investigation where they are acting as a joint task force, right? Or there's a request for information. So I just felt it was just important to make this video and give this explanation for those who are concerned, right? I mean, if you watch it, cool. If you found value in it, cool. Like and subscribe, all that great stuff. Instructor Mike. Follow me on Twitter, Instructor Mike 1, okay? And let's get back to it. You all be safe.